Any changes you create consciously with any meditation technique are not complete until you accept it and totally surrender whatever are the consequences. That is the completion. Creation happens from the ego mind, but it's done consciously. So whatever you create that is good for you, accept whatever is the result. You may know the story that Jesus was initiated in River Jordan. But he became Christ on the cross. The initiation was his journey inward toward the Christ consciousness. And that was totally revealed when he gave up all judgments and surrendered himself so completely to all the consequences of good that he had done. How much good we only know now from the history. But then, all that good was done from his heart was recognized as a threat to the existing religion. So, that is why when they killed him on the cross, they were getting something that was working against the accepted belief systems and the way they had understood what religion was. He was creating a great disturbance. So also, whenever you are learning something new and bringing it in, the old values that judge you very badly, your own values, the social conditioning, cultural conditioning, they'll crucify you. Inside, that's the inner happening. So what happened outside keeps happening inside when you are initiated and in inner journey. So you are actually trying to bring Christ consciousness where the crowd of unconscious thoughts, feelings, emotions, self-concepts, belief systems are residing for a long time. And so it is a threat to you, to your life. But that is the life you have lived and believed it to be true and real. So then entire journey is about really recognizing that you are identified with who you are not, which is your ego mind. And therefore, everything that you have done in your life, relationships you had with your parents, with your friends, with your brothers, sisters, with your teacher, all the relationships were adjusted to the ego mind's pre-learned, pre-programmed attractions and repulsions. That means ego mind was creating its own lifestyle for its own safety, comfort, and survival. Now you are trying to bring a whole new system that just wants to get rid of the first part that you have lived with and identified with so closely as if it is real you. That is why unless you really understand that your ego mind has separated from the self that you are in the entire journey of many lifetimes and lives in separation with the self-concepts from the self that you are. So this is not understood. But 6,000 years ago, yogis discovered the secret how this all works. Why are we having such a hard time? What is God? And what are we searching for when we search for God? What are we searching for when we search for love that God is? What are we searching for when we want the joy, pleasure, fulfillment of ego? We are looking for, not for that which brings you back to the source of oneness within. On the contrary, everything ego mind is looking for is separation. But for its own unification, for its own self-concepts, habit patterns, and behavior patterns. That's what it is trying to unite with. So, ego is not looking out for you. And then, if you think you are ego, how would you find who you are? So, ego is just looking out for how to fulfill its habits, preconceived ideas about yourself. So all the self-concepts live in your self-image. In yoga it is called karmic memory body that was created in the entire journey of the soul for many, many incarnations. So that's what ego mind carries, is memory of journeying away from the source of oneness. That is ego mind. How is it described in the West? They call it the prodigal son. So, and then prodigal son is just lost. Most people do not want to go back to the original source until this journey outward, by trying to find the life's purpose by changing external relationships, external fame, name, power, prestige, prosperity, all external can be prompted by the ego mind, and it has to be prompted by either fear or addiction. And that can be great motivating power for you to achieve it. But then it is the achievement of the ego mind that is addicted to the fame, name, money, power, sex, whatever. And then when you found you have damaged your body and your mind so excessively that prodigal son says, Father, I want to come back home. And this is what we all have done. We have tried that, and it doesn't work. So that's why you are here. This is more like an initiation that Christ went through. And then it gets tested as deep as how his presence was so heavily rejected and so threatened all the time. So your initiation, when you go into inner journey, it's constantly threatened by the self that you are not. You see, it takes the journey away from the God and does everything that is in conflict within, and then when conflict resurfaces, it resists its own creation. And then thinks spiritual thoughts, reads spiritual books, but doesn't want to do the spiritual practice or the live life that returns you back. That's what the whole world is doing. They go to the churches. They're not and the temples and anywhere in all world. They're trying to get back home. But they don't know going to the temple or worshipping in the traditional way, you cannot do that. This is the unique contribution of yoga, of Gnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, that explains how to return back to home. That is called Sanatana Dharma in yoga, means eternal truth. It's not a religion. So, when Christ practiced it, he practiced it as an eternal truth. But when his truth was written, they made it into religion. So any master from any culture or any nation, when that master got enlightened, he practiced eternal truth. But when people wrote about his practice and followed it, they turned it into religion, and then they lost the connection. What I'm talking about is not a religion, it's connection to the eternal truth. That's what yoga is. And when you live in the present, all that you have, where every time you have escaped from the past facing the present, you have to face it again. We call it catharsis. Detoxification. Means everything, when it happened, when you are in relationship with your parents or husband or wife, and you had a conflict with them, obviously you did not see the reality because you were young. Or even now, you're not young, but you still don't see any other conflicts with anybody else or any life situation as what is the source of it. The source of it is in you. Everything that you see lives in you. So, this is the eternal truth. As you sow, so shall you reap. So that is why anytime you have any reactive perception of anyone or anything at any given moment, pull it back. Because that is from the past. You are living, learning to live in the divine presence that you are. You are omnipresent. You are that authentic self. You are not what mind says about what is present. About comes from you. What is present is the presence. Everything you say about people, places, things, yourself, your mind, your emotions, they are all the objects, and you are the perceiver. So most people do not know that the world of objects is not only the material thing that you see. The world of object is also your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, because you can perceive it, right? So the perceiver is higher than the perceived. And if mind is perceived, mind is also an object of your perceiver. But to go to perceiver means what? Witness what is perceived. Then means do not judge. Do not judge means accept what is as is. Do you see how that works? Accept your thoughts as they are. Accept your emotions. Accept your health, your body. You might say, ego will say, how would I work if I accept my health? No, it is accepting so that what you do next comes from comes not from fear or protecting your fears, but really working out the real issue. So that is so important to understand. That is why your journey every moment is not to reincarnate. Every moment you have reaction to the moment, you are reincarnating past into the present. That's reincarnation. And that is why everything that you have not lived fully and in harmony with reality reincarnates from moment to moment. So that is why when you live in response to what is there from moment to moment, you are working, you are letting go of the reincarnation of the past. You are re-entering the presence that you are, that God is, that love is. Okay. You can ask questions because today I have to go soon. If you have questions. Yes.
Jai Gurudev. I wanted to have some time with you for the first time while here. And as I was driving here Wednesday night, my mind was going crazy, and I was having conversations with you then. And I had all these questions, and I was going to be brave and finally say some things. And you've answered all my questions, and you've explained things that I needed to hear. And I'm very grateful.
That's beautiful. Because when you have real questions, you are also ready to hear it.
See how easy that is.
So like some people have questions and I already answered, but they couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
And they ask the same question.
I know.
And they ask the question, the answer is the same as what I just talked.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm so glad you keep doing that.
That's why I don't mind. I'll do it again.
Yeah. So, now I'll I want to take this back with me, and I know it seems that I'm being taught exactly what I need to do, and I'm beginning to put it into practice more and more.
Right.
And that's what I'm...
It is all changing different areas of your lifestyle.
Yes.
Starting with diet, waking up, doing yoga, and removing all the areas of stress gradually, balance your life.
Thank you so much.
Mind is coming from all different areas that you haven't brought into harmony with consciousness. They have taken off on their own with the ambition, fear, dragged you into it.
Yes. Yes.
So then it created tensions.
Yeah.
And mind cannot stop.
I'm so glad you explain it so well.
And then when it gets that way, it gets nuisance. Why doesn't it stop? Because it is connected to fear or attachment. Otherwise, it will stop immediately. And fear and attachment, they live in your old impressions, past. So when your mind gets into it, it is getting through the past, not what is present. But what is present may trigger it, but present did not create it. When you have this clarity, you can go back to it again and again. It's not like one time. That's why constant practice. That's why bringing a lifestyle to take care of it. Because how valuable it is, there is nothing else more valuable than learning to live with yourself.
Surprise!
But if that self is a crazy self that you identify with and have adjusted it in your entire lifestyle, that's what you have to change. Yes.
Jai Gurudev, I just love what you said this morning when you said Jesus surrendered to the consequences of doing good.
Right.
Wow. I mean, because that's the fear that I've always had with my own walk into the inward journey, is for the consequences of people judging me.
That's beautiful. Just look how little that is and how big he had to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
There are people judging you. They're leaving you alone. You are live here. But there people were judging, were big arch enemies. They were going to kill him.
I remember when I got into therapy, trying to manage my mind, it helped, but it didn't work. But I'll never forget that the counselor, he goes, all you're trying to do is replace your intimacy with intensity. And he goes, if you just learn how to be intimate first, you won't need the intensity, you know, and how I related to other people, you know.
Right.
So this journey I've been on, this spiritual journey, you keep telling us and reminding us to go inward. And to do that, we have to be very gentle and intimate.
Beautiful.
So I just kind of, when you were talking and speaking about Jesus, it's like, well, even before that, you know, you've spoken and taught us many times about the rise of man from dust, from the earth, then the fall of man from eating from the tree of good and evil in the garden, so then we're cast out.
Right.
Then there's the birth of Jesus as a baby, and then the death of Jesus/Christ as a man, and then there's the resurrection of Christ, the man,
right,
and then the ascension.
And that is what he meant when he said, unless you die, you cannot be born.
Right.
He did not talk, he demonstrated.
Right.
So you are resisting dying. The past is dying, and then you complain, work is not good, people are not good, I am not good. Just accept that. Let go.
So then he had the ascension, because then he said, I'm leaving the body. So he left the body, and that's the Holy Spirit as the interpretation, as it's written about. And then there's also the writings of the second coming, like I'm coming again. What does that mean?
There is no second coming. Second coming is for any human being when he's enlightened. That's a second coming. There could be billions of second comings. But then that's only second. There is no third for you or me.
Right.
That's you. That's second coming is when you bring the Christ consciousness to come alive again. That's second coming. And then you will not be there to see somebody else second coming. That's the real meaning of second coming.
When I remove myself from the intense people, I know from the experience that intimacy is there. I just have to allow it. You know, so that's, you know, it's like, it seems like in my mind, there was so much, is it literal or figurative? And I'm going to fight with you about it to see who's right or wrong. You know, and I let go of all of that, because it just seems like all the world religions, they're just trying to prove who's right or wrong, or not everybody's, I shouldn't say that, but there's that subtle, you know, so when we step into
So when you do not know the truth, you know the thoughts about it. Thoughts are good and evil, right and wrong, for me and against me. So the religious people who believe in religion, believe in Christ, believe in God, they have thoughts of good and evil. But experience has oneness, there is no good and evil. That's why God said to Adam and Eve not to eat the forbidden fruit of the tree of knowledge. knowledge, mind came and knowledge came. Knowledge came to choose. And choice made it good and evil. Before that, there was no good and evil. The animals don't have good and evil because they don't have choice, individual choice. Yes?
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Gurudev. I just thought today's Darshan just really so clearly explained why the path is difficult and how to go through it. I liked what you said about how the new system of consciousness is getting rid of the old system of habits and patterns. And,
Right, exactly.
you know, and I feel like I've let go of some of my old systems and patterns, you know, since we had talked last week or whenever it was. But it was like I had to go through a grieving process because it's kind of like, because it is the death of an old system or old.
Exactly.
And then it creates kind of like a grieving as that's letting go. And then and then you're closer, a little bit closer to,
right.
you know, the consciousness that you are. But I thought it was a beautiful.
Yeah. And you are reincarnating every moment.
Right.
The past is reincarnating every moment. Every time you react to the present moment, you are reincarnating past into the present, and then you're trying to change it in future. Ego does that.
And it's hard to be conscious of those patterns even. I mean, because sometimes they'll serve us.
Because they have become so mechanical and habitual.
Right.
And anything that becomes such an integral part of you gets so woven as you.
Right.
That as if you are doing it for you. But if you know the distinction that the ego mind is not you, and it has lived with those patterns for a long time, it has become adjusted. It has spent all the time to get adjusted to those patterns as me. Can you imagine how difficult it is? Yeah. If you want to change one pattern, how difficult it is.
Right.
But now consciousness gives you amazing secret how to do it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful recognition. Okay. Let's chant. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shivaya. Shivaya. Shivam Shivam Om Namah Shivaya. Shivam Shivam Om Namah Shivaya. Shivam 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Shivam. Go into second half, total surrender to energetic vibratory shift that you created through chanting is happening in your body. You just simply surrender because you are not the doer. The doer was in the first place. What you cause is now happening. What you consciously caused is now happening. So surrender. Call it grace. Even if you find something that you don't like, surrender that. Something you like, don't pick it up and say, I did it. So it is, surrender means you accept both good and evil. The judge is out of the way. That means you have entered the presence. Just simply listen. Jai Bapuji. Basically, you must just learn to be grateful for when you practice spiritual discipline, the old, everything that you have suppressed, denied, ignored, begins to surface in the form of interaction with people, places, and things, in your work, everywhere. So all those things, if you judge, you will be caught again. So if you believe that it is the work that is doing it or your mind that is doing it, just don't believe either one. Just witness your mind. Witness your thoughts about it. That means be grateful for even the bad experience. If you're not grateful for bad experience, you will not be able to move in the right direction. Ever. It will just stop. Because you're looking for good. That is what Christ meant. When God said to Adam and Eve, that's what God meant. Do not choose the fruit of the knowledge. What is the knowledge? What I have learned to call good, and I'm looking for it, and evil I'm avoiding. So good and evil go together. So when you select good, and like good loving relationship, all the evils that are in you, that are not dealt with, will come with it. So if you do it to deal with the good and evil, that's a good one. Go for it. That's what we should do with everything. Just do not choose. That means remain witness. God said most prominent, most wonderful thing. God said, remain witness to good and evil. Do not choose. What is witness? Choiceless awareness. Did he say one time to Adam and Eve somewhere in the past? No. God is not eternal. God is not someone who lived in the past, came out when Adam and Eve came and then told them. No. That's a false interpretation. God is eternal, omnipresent, and it is always present. Every time you are reacting to what is present, God is saying, do not choose. All reactive choices are automatic choices. They don't, because they have become part of you. So, disband. That's why entire Amrit Yoga practice is how to disengage from reactive perceiver every time. And it's a practice on the yoga mat. But you have to, when you understand this, you practice in life, in every aspect, from moment to moment. That is sadhana. Yes? So everyone, have a wonderful Christmas. This means you will have Christmas every day.